Hey guys, welcome to Finally Clicked, the podcast where we discuss business, leadership, and personal development. My name is Margaret Smith, and I'm the Director of Operations for Pickett Street Properties, a real estate team out of Bothell, Washington. And I'll be here every week with our owner and team leader, Jesse D. Moore. We'll be digging into concepts and ideas that have helped us both personally and professionally. And you'll also get a chance to hear from local and national experts that we know provide massive value to get to the point where it all finally clicks.
Welcome, everyone, to Finally Clicked podcast with your host, Jesse Moore and Margaret Smith. We have a special guest today.
Yeah. Ooh.
Her name, Jessica. Her role, buyer's agent. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you.
We have a lot to talk about today. I have no idea what those things are.
I have no idea.
But we'll keep it lively. Margaret's having a bit of a moment
Oh my God.
right now.
You know what? I feel so comfortable now. I know that the admin community that's listening totally has my back. So I feel comforted by the microphone in front of my face. It's like talking to a couple friends. Mm-hmm.
How should that make Jessica and I feel?
Yeah.
It should make you feel lovely because you're here with me.
But it's the listeners that really make you feel good and secure.
No, they just understand me, you know, as you guys do too.
How's your moment going?
I'm about 80% through. It's the hardest part. The 60 to
The
90.
final. It's the red zone.
Yeah, good. That's a good visual.
Yeah.
The red zone. It's not quite red.
So how long will it take you to get the final 20%?
I'm hoping it'll be done by the time we're done with this.
And what are the chances? Over, under?
Over.
It'll happen?
I feel like you just started this moment and you passed 80% in like 2 seconds flat.
The moment started as we were ending lunch today.
Yeah.
And then there was a small commute from lunch to the office. There were tears in the driveway.
That's not unusual. I had 2 ciders at lunch.
Tears in the parking lot. And then it took, I don't know, 20 minutes to get ready to do this. Just to get you, just to establish a timeline.
No, it's good for the people.
So that's the 80, and then now you're at 80%.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if I agree with you because
You're going to judge where I'm at?
Well, I'm trying to remember a time where you went through a moment in the same day.
Oh my God, it happens
Work
all
through
the
the entire
time.
moment.
It happens all the time. This is not a large moment. It's a small moment in comparison to some.
And what's the basis for this small moment?
I think the basis of it is to make sure that I'm listening to my gut. I think that's the basis. Yeah.
All right, enough about that.
All righty then.
Jessica.
You don't want to talk about it further?
Sure. We can. Well, one of the things we wanted to talk about on this podcast with Jessica was teams, because she's new to ours and she's been on one before. And she's newer to real estate. And I think everybody, at least anybody who's listening that knows us, a little bit about us, knows that we've been in a hiring phase for like a while now. I don't know, 6 months to 3 years. And and then specifically this week, I told Jesse, I was like, I'm feeling so happy. I was like, don't burst my bubble right now. I'm feeling so happy. I've been feeling happy for a while. Like, I think I even told Jessica after she started, I was like, I'm trying not to like you too much because I want you to stick around for a while, right? Yeah. No, so right now we're in a great place with agents. We even have a couple of people in the pipeline. That's looking good. And then, Sarah's transitioning out, and which means the next hiring piece that I started working on was the admin one, which I'm super passionate about and very particular about. And we have some lovely people in the industry that I've gotten the chance to work with, and I just want to do the right thing. And so I take that very seriously.
You're Sophie.
Oh my God. What?
You're Sophie, and you have to make Sophie's Choice
Oh
right now.
my God.
That's
Who's
what's
Sophie?
happening. Haven't you heard that cliche, that like Sophie's Choice?
I have not, actually.
Okay.
You learn something
Wow.
every day with Jesse.
Especially
is
on
what
this
happens.
podcast. This is exactly Jessica, welcome to my world.
Yes.
That's what happens
Jesse
when you're
opens the door to
oldest,
something.
oldest person in the room.
How old are you?
42. It's not hardly old.
I know. You're like
Right.
not that much
Well,
older than me.
Sophie, I don't know the exact name of the movie.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking. Is it?
Or a book or whatever. But
Yeah.
this woman is at sea, with her 2 children, and she can only save one of them.
Just,
Right?
yeah.
So you one has to perish, and one, and you can only save one child. So
God,
any
there's no
major
way.
decision where it's between great candidates, it's Sophie's Choice. You're screwed either way.
And that's Margaret's worst nightmare. I hate doing that, but at the same time, it's I don't know. I feel like we've got great momentum, which is what we talked about at lunch.
We're in the momentum phase.
We're in the momentum phase, as Jesse puts it. So, it's good.
What level are you at now?
85.
85.
Ooh,
Uh-huh.
Oh,
We're
hey,
making
there in no
progress.
time. Drink more whiskey.
Yes.
Jessica's drinking whiskey like it's
Jessica
we've run
is
out.
drinking whiskey.
We have
Thank
run
you.
out. So
We actually legitimately have. Do you hear this, guys?
empty. There's a great whiskey shortage of 2019
Let me take a
happening
picture of it.
in the studio right now.
It's so sad. I'm
You
just
ever
gonna
feel like
take
you're
a moment
talking-
to Instagram this?
To no one, and that no one sends you whiskey.
There are times when I feel like we speak out on this podcast and people don't respond.
I know we give so much of ourselves.
I think last time we asked for wine, that didn't happen.
We're presenting a real need here,
The
people.
real need.
Whiskey
This
shortage.
is an opportunity.
AKA Jared Wolf. Are you listening?
Jared Wolf.
Margaret's
Don't worry.
Instagramming.
Just gonna put the empty body out there on social media and see if anybody replies.
Empty body.
Empty bottle.
2-ciders in. And a glass of whiskey.
Yes.
Jessica, how's your
Let's jump right
what's
in.
this like so far, being on the podcast?
What's this like?
What's this like? Nothing new. I sit next to you guys every day and it cracks me up.
Is it like your first consultation?
It's one thing to listen to Jesse and Margaret on a podcast, but to sit in a room with them and feel the dynamic is a whole
Oh.
nother element.
The energy, the vibration.
Yes.
Can you
yes.
describe that for the audience?
I think I just told Jesse this yesterday. Describing that is really hard to do. Sometimes it's really heated, and sometimes it's not.
There's actually been quite a bit of conversation around the awkward talk
Yes.
episode, which is funny because everyone's afraid to talk about it.
They are.
We're not getting feedback.
No.
We ask for feedback. It falls on deaf ears. I feel like sometimes we're just screaming into the void in a whiskey-less stupor.
Yeah. We have had,
And-
since more time has passed, people are listening to it. So some people have said I had to wait until I was in a good
And
spot
some
mentally to
people said
listen.
they couldn't listen to it.
Yes.
I'm like, we just preface it by saying it's awkward. And people are like,
Maybe not.
maybe not.
That last episode, I feel like, was so awkward that it had to be listened to a couple times to really absorb everything that was happening.
awkwardness.
Yes. Awkward in a good way. You know, you guys talk about a lot of stuff that's real, and I love it. And I've sat in on some of those conversations. It's even more awkward in person. It really
Just
is.
confirming.
Just
Is it
so
like
you all
your-
know.
Is it kind of like your parents fighting?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Is that what it feels like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever worked anywhere where those conversations were had, or maybe something somewhat similar?
I have. However, the dynamic between the two of you is completely different from anything I've experienced. And I have a lot of admiration for how you two resolve things and how you play off each other and you know each other so well that you're able to have those conversations and then work through them and completely be able to voice where you're coming from, and both of you are able to come to a resolution or resolve with whatever the matter is. So
Yeah, I don't think either of us give up. You know,
no,
like,
you don't.
I don't relent my side. She
Right.
doesn't relent her side.
Well, and that's what's most impressive. Like, Margaret's pretty passionate, and sometimes I'm like, holy crap, like, she full force, you know, and I have a lot of admiration for that. And Jesse, same. You just give it right back in a completely different way. So,
Yeah, no, I think it's as we talked or stumbled our way through that. I'm probably more the stumbler. I always feel like he's so adept at all of this that I just feel like a stumbling fool sometimes. But I've learned that it's not. It's just that it's navigating for the first couple times. I've gotten better at it, and then understanding that you don't stop. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that you keep going. And so, in that podcast, I know one of the girls that reached out to us today when we were on our way to lunch sent me a really nice text about that episode. And she said, it was so nice to hear that whole conversation because she's had that exactly with her rainmaker, who happens to be named Jesse as well.
He must be smart and good looking.
Yeah, most likely. And so I think what she said was so right in that she thought that their team was falling apart at times when they had those conversations. And she said, it's nice to hear that happens because it helps her recognize that it doesn't mean it has to be falling apart. That's a decision you make if you choose to walk away from something, which, again, you have to have context for what's going on in different companies. But, I mean, it's kind of like with everything else in life. You have to be willing to work hard at what you care about. And so when there's something that I see all the possibilities, and I know that's me being optimistic, but I also think you kind of have to be if you want to make something work. And I loved what a candidate said. I'm kind of hopping all over the place, but we were in a candidate interview the other day, and she said, I don't ever, we asked the question, how many times are you willing to fail before you succeed at a task? And she said, I won't ever stop because there's always another way. There's
that's
always,
great.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like the way you have to
You
have
should
it.
hire whoever that was. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the correct answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jessica answered the same way.
Mm-hmm. And not everybody does. There's people we've sat in interviews with, and they're like, well, maybe 5 or 10 times. And I'm like,
I'd probably play video games. I'd probably
How do you
stop
put a
and
number
play
to
video
that?
games. Yeah.
yeah, when I think about a relationship, with different people in my family, I'll try millions of times.
Right.
You'll never stop.
Never stop stopping.
Never stop stopping. Anyhow.
Great movie. By the way.
Yeah.
Rockstar.
But that ASMR whiskey or ASMR and wine episode was quite, I think, difficult for people to hear. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we go into having these now I feel like I could almost, if I, side note, here's Margaret going off since I've had 2 ciders and a couple sips of whiskey. I'm an Enneagram 4, right? And so one of the things I was reading about with the 4.
I'm a Raza Vector 9.
Whatever.
What does that even mean?
With the 4, it says that you want to feel all the emotions in one day. And that is kind of me. I would be okay feeling totally like shit in a hole and then feeling like amazing at the end of the day. I'd feel like I lived that day. And so what I've realized with this, though, and what I think has happened naturally before I even knew this on the Enneagram, is I've had to really tone down some of my 4-ness and because I really I enjoy feeling all the feelings, which is part of, I think, why I get this so passionate.
If there are any English
Feeling all
majors
the
out there, if you could please do a sentence diagram of what Margaret just said, I would pay money for this and then put it on the wall. I want to see that run-on sentence broken down.
Right?
The 4-ness. It's like the force, but it's the 4-ness of your
If there are
Enneagram.
any other 4s out there, and there are not many, let me tell you.
Oh, really? I love that too. I'm a 4. They're super rare.
Oh my God.
I'm the only one, actually.
What are you guys? You're an 8. Jesse's an 8, we think, or 3. Have you taken the Enneagram yet? We need to have
I
Jessica
just took
take
the
it.
quick online version, and I tested as an 8 as well. But I haven't done the full one. So
I'm
I
a
need to do it.
Rastafarian.
My God. How did we get on that?
It makes me think of what's Tom Cruise? Scientist.
Whenever you say Tom Cruise,
Scientology. Yeah.
Where they're levels.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He's like a Raza
yeah.
4. You guys are
We can have
Whatever
you
levels.
and
that
Tom
means.
Cruise. They're
no,
right
thank
there
you.
together.
He's half my size.
Yeah, he's
He
small.
could come up to my
No.
armpit.
Yeah, well, hiring's tricky. It put you in a moment today.
Mm-hmm.
You're working your way through it. You're probably a good 87%.
Good guess.
the
That's
way
what I was
through.
thinking in my head.
87.2. I can
Yeah.
feel
So
it.
if you had to nail it down, we go through phases in hiring
Yeah.
where you I'm stuck on this metaphor Margaret used, shit in a hole. So let's just say sometimes hiring's like that where you just come across a bunch of holes with turds in it.
Come across a bunch of shit.
And every once in a while you find
Gold nuggets. Yeah,
nuggets
that's Jessica.
in them there.
Jessica's a gold nugget.
holes. And
I've been called many things. Gold nugget's not one of them. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think we've talked about this before. I just felt a little bit like we've been a hamster on a wheel these last couple of years, and finding a grip on someone like this who can help anchor the other part of the business.
So I want to say that I think you're responding to the promise of relief.
That's very
Well, that's
poetic
deep.
of you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think
Probably.
that's accurate?
Probably.
You're
yeah.
not responding to like overwhelming, like being overwhelmed. You're not responding to we're never going to find someone. You're responding to I can see that this is in sight, and I didn't envision the possibilities that are in front of us, and now that I see it forming, it scares you a little bit, or just
I'm not scared, but
not
yeah.
scared, but it's impacting you.
I'd say that's probably pretty accurate. Yeah.
Did you recently read a book about going to the bathroom or poop or feces? Like, her favorite thing lately is to like is
Did I say that a lot?
and I'm gonna dumb
Have I
it
said
down
that a
because
lot?
we have kids that listen to this.
And we
show.
do have kids. Yeah.
You're muffs
so
kids.
her latest thing is two craps. Like I
don't
give
give two craps.
I, don't
I
give
love
two
that phrase.
craps about, and it's not
that's a
craps,
good
okay?
one.
But it's
Have
and
I been
so-
saying that a lot?
Oh my gosh, you're like a logger. You're just around like, and yeah,
wonder
that's
who-
your big thing is I don't give two craps, and I'm like, okay,
All right.
is that like a daily allotment of craps?
I mean, I
or-
have spent a lot of time around my niece and nephew lately, and we talk a lot about
Two
yeah.
craps.
So, but no, I don't think so. That's
and
funny.
then crap in a hole.
Oh, you know what? I think I might be trying to avoid swearing in some instances. So maybe that I go
that
from
hasn't worked on this podcast.
no. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I go through phases for sure, and whatever I'm reading does tend to like take place in my mind. So.
Oh, Gary John Bishop. We're
Oh, that's it. Yeah,
we're
that's
reading
probably
Gary
it.
John Bishop. Gary
Yeah.
likes to swear.
Yeah.
Even in this new book, he addresses it and says, if you don't like swearing,
You can't be my
he
friend.
tries to be nice and be like, I get it. If you don't like swearing, like
Yeah.
maybe this isn't for you. But then he's like, get over it. Read
And
this-
wasn't it Spencer who said in our team meeting, like he like said something about being poopy? He was like, "Don't be poopy" to himself.
Well,
He shared.
well, for context, the point he's referencing is just because you may feel a certain way about yourself that's not true. Like
Yeah.
if just because you poop doesn't make you a pooper.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And so Spencer was talking about how that had an impact on him. That
Yeah.
just because you do something wrong or you do something, that you don't like, you aren't that person.
Mm-hmm.
You just had
that
a
doesn't
moment.
define
define
you.
you.
Yeah. Much like that Holocaust interview I sent you this morning to listen to. I'll have to share that with Jessica
Do you know
too.
that Jessica? Do you know that Margaret's like obsessed with the Holocaust?
You are?
Do you not know that?
No.
In our first interview, my first interview with her, right? You're supposed to like ask who they like. Who are three people that you like, and
admire,
admire,
respect.
And she like opened with, and I also asked what book she reads, and she opened with The Diary of Anne Frank.
I have actually read that like
Have you?
5 times in my lifetime. I love
There
it
you
as
go.
well.
Well, I wasn't ready for it. I was thinking Twilight
It's
or
great.
something.
Jesse,
was
dude,
coming
I don't think.
across
Yeah,
the
I don't know. Maybe
bow.
if you had a candidate that ever
Shades
said
of
something
Grey,
like that. Yeah.
but no, Diary
Shades
of
of
Anne
Grey.
Frank, and I'm like Diary of Anne Frank, and she like laughed like a maniac, and I'm like, okay.
You know what's I've gotten much better at this, but I think I was telling Jessica before we started, like I've never been able to really speak about something on the spot like that. And in that moment, I remember thinking, all I can think of are the Harlequin novels my grandmother used to buy me or Diary of Anne Frank. But it's very true that I have had a thing about the Holocaust because I'm obsessed with how crazy something like that could happen
Yeah.
and how some people don't believe it happened. And so, yeah, and I have no problem talking about the hard stuff. So I think that's, whenever that comes up, we go #Holocaust. Margaret.
Yeah, that is Margaret's hashtag. Is hashtag
Yeah.
Holocaust.
I would have loved to be a fly on the wall in your interview process.
Oh, hey, we actually have it videotaped,
yeah.
so you're welcome to
Videotaped.
watch part of it.
Yes.
You can see
Yeah. No, I'm a very different person. Very different. Yeah,
totally different.
yeah. But let's turn to Jessica.
Jessica,
Oh, Lord. Yes.
Let's tell the people about yourself a little bit.
What would you like to know about me?
I
Well,
think it's
she's a cowgirl, kind of.
No.
no. She's
I like
not a cowgirl.
cowboys.
She likes cowboys.
I like one specific cowboy.
Oh, so many jokes here. I can't.
And Garth
say.
Brooks. Yeah.
Oh, I like Garth Brooks too.
Oh, Jessica and I are. I feel a kinship with Jessica. I feel
Oh,
like we're brother and
gosh.
sister a little
This
bit.
happens.
And
occasion.
we had similar upbringing,
Yep.
kind of, where we made choices based on our family and expectations around us. And maybe those choices didn't work out in the best way over the long term.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
And you had to figure out who you were and what you believed in as
Yep.
an adult. That's a fun time to start doing that, right?
Yeah, right? Yes.
Wait until you have a couple kids, then figure out who you are.
Yeah. For a little bit of backstory on me, I was married at 20. I was with my ex-husband, married for 11 years, together 13. We have 2 kids, and we had them back to back, very young. My kids are 16 months apart. So now I am 33. I worked in the coffee industry for many, many years. I got into real estate, and next month will be 1 year for me.
1 year.
Yes, 1 year.
Wow.
I was just talking with Spencer about this. Like, it feels much longer than that for me, but
How would
Yeah.
you juxtapose? Oh my goodness!
Oh, it's a
What
drop.
rookie.
Don't worry.
Listen. This is my ringtone, by the way.
job opening.
Can I just say that I'm thankful that you've changed your ringtone recently because
I
it's
know.
so kind of violent.
Yeah,
No,
very
so-
violent.
As much as I
Heart
love
attack.
that band,
All right.
Yeah.
So let
I'm
me
like my heart
explain.
would drop every time.
I love 21 Pilots
I
so
do
much.
too.
I found them before anyone knew about them. I
was
literally
the first to find them.
I literally listened to their CD. I bought the CD. I drove an hour and a half to meet the team for a team event. I made them all sit outside and listen and not talk, like be quiet and listen to this album.
Take it in.
And I said, these guys are going to be huge. And they were. They are. And so my favorite song by them is called Car Radio. And I love lyrics. I love good writing. And the whole song is about how his car radio is broken. And he hates it because he can hear his own thoughts. Like he has to pay attention to the thoughts in his head. And it's driving him crazy. And he wishes he had his car radio back so that he could silence his thoughts, which I identify with.
1,000 billion%.
So anyway, I like the song, but it's a little bit much when you're not expecting it and it goes off
Yes.
like on your phone.
Yeah.
So I changed it recently to
It's soothing.
Misconnections, a song by The Head and the
Oh,
Heart.
very
The Head and the
appropriate.
Heart is from Seattle. Well, they're not all from Seattle, but they formed in Seattle. And I encourage you to listen to it. It's actually, so I got my kids to fall in love with this song because I told them the backstory of the song, which is the lead singer missed his flight, and because he missed his flight, he met his future wife. So,
Oh, that's so sweet.
Wow.
and so the song is about like,
I wish it was that easy for me.
what
Come
if
on
you, what if I gotten on that flight? What if everything was fine
Yeah.
and I got on a flight? I would have never met this most important person in my life.
What's that movie with Tom Hanks? That's what it reminds me of.
Castaway,
Nope. Nope.
Or he's the pilot?
Forrest
Yeah,
Gump,
airplane. It's like,
Yeah.
Forrest Gump.
Or is that
No.
Brad? No, not Brad. George?
You've Got Mail.
no.
Sleepless in Seattle.
Oh, I love that
no.
one.
Gosh, what
My
is
mom's
it?
cousin's in that one.
Really?
Toy Story.
Close. No.
Man, I'm
I know what you're
getting
thinking
close.
of.
I'm
Isn't
getting
it George
closer.
where he hops from town to town? He's the air pilot and he has like all these different
is.
relationships.
That's a totally different actor.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no. It's not that. It's Tom Hanks. And it's something about airplane. Like, yes. And he ends up.
One of our listeners will tell us.
Yeah, someone please tell us. I might be completely wrong. That's okay. Okay.
Wow. See that phone ring, and now I don't know what I was
We were going to go
talking
back to Jessica. She was
I know.
celebrating her 1 year anniversary tomorrow.
about. Okay, so
or this month,
Jessica,
next
I
month.
was talking about
Next
something
month.
else, but we'll come back to it.
Yes.
How would you juxtapose your last 6 months
Whoa.
compared to your first 6 months in real estate?
Has she been with us 6 months?
Ish.
January.
I mean, I'm not trying to
Yes.
lead a horse to water here.
Wow.
I'm just saying, how
Yeah,
would you
7
compare your
months.
last 6 months compared to your first 6 months in real estate?
Completely night and day. I got into real estate thinking that a team atmosphere was going to be the best fit for me. I just know myself well, and I knew that I wanted to be surrounded with experts.
How
in
had
the
you heard about the
industry.
team idea? Because a lot of people, when they come into real estate, don't even know there's
So,
teams.
on a whim, I decided to just go for it. That was kind of the theme of my life after my divorce. Like, we're just going to go for it, and I'm going to do everything I've always wanted to do. So, as a single mom, I decided to save a little money, get myself in a position to just start pursuing my passions. Real estate, I know, presented a great opportunity to me to reach my personal financial goals fast. I've always loved working with people, and I put 2 and 2 together and signed up for my classes at the encouragement of family and friends. So I did that. Even before I finished Rockwell, I started interviewing with different teams just to get a feel I know a lot of people in the industry personally. I was invited to sit in on different teams at different brokerages, and I did that, and I got to kind of get a feel for how they operate and what that looks like. And I knew none of those teams I met with were the right fit for me. However, I had a strong feeling that somewhere there was a team that was going to be the right fit and that I was going to be able to bring my strengths to that team, and it would be the best situation. Fast forward a little bit, I finished school, got my license. I reached out to a couple good friends in the industry. One of them is very successful at a young age. I had a lot of admiration for him and what he does, and I still do. I decided to join his team. It was a newer team setting. There's not a lot of systems in place, and I knew that going in. However, I stayed there for a few months and ultimately decided it wasn't the best fit for me because I operate really well when there are systems in place. There is a clear definition of what we're all working towards as a team. Came down here to Keller Williams Bothell.
Let me interrupt you for a second.
Yep.
How do you feel after, go back in time for a second? You've made this huge life change.
Yeah.
You've gone to school. You've done the hard work. You did what you thought was best. You joined a team.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of that run, when you're realizing this isn't the right team.
Yeah.
And nothing against that team. I know the
nothing.
team leader. He's super talented for his age. He's gangbusters.
That's definitely true.
But so when you, at the end of that, when you're realizing that's ending and you have to do something different, like maybe even go on your own, how do you feel?
And I actually did. I left that team and was on my own for 1 month. That didn't work out too well. It was very hard for me. I'm not one to give up. I actually don't ever give up, but I'm incredibly hard on myself. So walking away from that team, I felt a little bit like a failure because I didn't have a plan in place. And I thought, how am I going to make this happen? I'm not surrounded by people, every day now. I had a great support system when I chose to come here overall, but I didn't have a team around me. So I got an office here on my own. I did 1 month, tried to lead generate on my own. It just really wasn't working out. I didn't do any business during that time. And then I took
You were here for a month?
1 month, right next to you guys. It was meant to be.
Oh, I knew you were there.
Yep.
I didn't think it was that long.
But at that time,
Good contribution,
Yes.
Margaret.
at that time, I
We were
only
out-
came in office maybe twice a week. if
Okay,
that.
yeah. All right. I totally remember walking by and going like, that girl, stalked her.
Yeah. So, again, night and day. I had a lot of encouragement here at the office to interview with different teams and just see if there was a good fit here for me. And I also met with solo agents who have been on a team and decided to go at it on their own afterwards. So I got different perspectives. I started to weigh it out and realized a team is the right fit for me. I just need to find who that is, and I'm not willing to compromise and just join any team. So, long story short, I started an interview process with you guys.
And as of today, you're capped.
As of today, I'm at my
today.
cap. Yes, so that's
Dang.
fantastic.
So you get until May 1st, so that's what is that?
It's about 18 months.
9 months.
9 months.
Where your commissions, you get 100% of your commissions.
That's great.
It's pretty good.
This is pretty good.
Cheers.
Cheers to that.
that.
Yes.
What did you think about the interview process?
Oh my gosh, the interview process sucks. It's long.
Yeah.
And for an overthinker like me,
Yeah.
it's difficult. Every step of the way, you
Yeah,
can
'cause-
attest to this. I would reach out to you afterwards
Yeah.
and say, hey, when's our next meeting? I want to put it on my calendar and know.
Yeah.
That's just how my brain works. I need to be able to plan for
Which
it.
was a really awesome sign for me because I think, like we've talked several times, when you are walking through the interview process with someone, there are very few people that actually are very, I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but even just follow up. I
Yeah.
follow up more than the candidates do.
Yeah.
If a candidate reaches out to me and says, can we schedule the next appointment? I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So I noticed that about you immediately, which is always a sign to me of someone that's talented and motivated.
And I think during the interview, I'm a sucker for this.
I forget how we felt. How did we feel as we were going through it?
Are you kidding me? Her life story, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Let's
but
hire
do you
her.
remember when Jesse was like, so the last interview, you never made eye contact with me. So,
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah, I
shit,
forgot.
I blew it.
That's
No, it's
right.
true. The
Yeah.
first interview, you didn't look at me hardly once.
Yeah.
That
Why
was,
was
and,
that?
and that was a big deal.
And I told you, and I still feel this way. I have no problem. Remember the next day I came in
yeah.
and stared at you all day long?
Ah, yes.
I have no problem with that. But during the interview process, from my perspective, it's really easy to gravitate towards Margaret because your presence is large and you kind of lead the meeting in that way.
I pale in her shadow.
Yes.
I think I encourage that kind of I've really tried to tame
You're
it back.
tall like a tree.
Tall like a tree. No, but I've noticed, and that's actually been a topic of conversation with the last couple of candidates that we've had over the last year, I think, because I don't know if because I do a lot of the interviewing or what the deal is, but I remember talking about that. I remember saying to you specifically about Jessica, like, I'm not worried about that. Like, it's just because I've been leading the interview thus far.
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
I'm like, you're not the one she's not looking at, Margaret.
You don't even know. I think because the interview process starts with the candidate talking with you only.
Yeah.
And you develop this relationship. You know nothing about Jesse. Jesse's kind of an anomaly to
I'm
people.
like a
He's scary.
mysterious
You were never
figure.
scary to me, though. I never.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. Let's
Is
just
that
touch on that.
Spencer's one of the ones too that was just like, I don't know if I can read Jesse.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good.
Told
yeah.
Sarah
That's
that.
good. I
You
need to
should
be a
be
bit more
scared.
like that. Yeah, but no, that was a lovely interview experience with you. I remember after each time, Jesse and I would come back and we'd be like, all right, no red flags. Let's move forward.
That's
That's always the best when he and I are like on the same page like that. And
Yeah, and Margaret would say, isn't she lovely?
Sing it, Jesse. I know you want to.
Isn't she lovely?
oh god.
Yeah, no, we did an interview this week, and the candidate.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah.
I came in towards the end, as I do, and I said, "Hey, do you have any questions for us?" And she said, "Well, this might be blunt," and I'm like, "I'm good with blunt. Lay it on me." She's like, "Why is everyone afraid of you?" And I laughed.
I love that person for asking you
Oh
that.
my gosh, it was brilliant. And I was like, well, and the summation of what I said is that the mythology is different than the reality. And so there's definitely a mythology of Jesse that is not an accurate portrayal of me. And I don't care too much to like change it. I don't know. Maybe I should, but I'm not too worried about it.
This is another way where I feel a kinship with you. Over the years, I've had many people tell me that I come across like a bitch, like I'm hard to read and hard. And I've actively tried to work on that. I love people, so that always blows my mind.
I remember asking you during the interview process because we went to an office meeting together.
Yeah.
And I said, "Are you an introvert?" And you were like, "No." And I said, "Well, you don't look at me. I mean, when we're out of the interview, as we're walking by, like you don't make eye contact,
Yeah.
and you look like you don't want to talk to anybody."
Yeah.
And so I think it's funny, like so much is perceived incorrectly by body
Yes.
language and by eye contact and all those things. And, so I think I take this back to my mom. My mom forced us to look at people and like,
Yeah.
she taught us from age 5 going on to go up and shake hands with someone, to have an open stance. Like she taught us whether she meant to or not. All of these things that I'm realizing, everybody thinks I love them. And maybe it's too much the other way.
That is true.
Maybe there's too much
people feel like you love them.
there's too much love happening. I need to harden up. I need to resting bitch face needs to come in here. Like
don't
that
do
or
that.
something. Like
Don't do that.
That was scary. Don't do that again. She
But,
just flared her nostrils and
but what I loved about that candidate's question was it was so real, so honest, and
hey, it says a lot.
Yeah.
And
she gave you the opportunity to talk about it.
It does express a fear to some degree. Like, what is it that has everyone so afraid of you, right? Like, and that's a legit question. Like, do I want to pursue this process with somebody everyone's afraid of? And then I roared at her. Ah! No. Yeah.
Have you thought any more about
We've
that?
talked about this ad nauseum as far as people being intimidated by me, and
Yeah.
and we talked to someone today who's like, when you're at the top of the stack, target's always on your back.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what reality is or not.
Mm-hmm.
That people will always be gunning for you, and it's true. I've experienced that over the last 7 years. So there's that. One thing I heard that I actually take, as a feather in my cap is that people are intimidated by our business acumen.
Yeah.
Like we run like a business.
And I love that. So I'm okay with that
And
too.
That's very different than a lot of other teams,
Yeah.
which are chasing transactions and doing, like, we're working most of the time. Margaret, you specifically, your job is to work on the business more than anything.
Yeah.
And more than me even. But that allows us to make sure that we're always moving forward.
Yeah.
We're always hiring. We're always adjusting.
Yeah. You know, I've thought about it a little bit since our conversation with that candidate. And I think ultimately what it comes down to is you have become known for someone who's willing to have the hard conversation. And for the people on the receiving end who don't have the tools to have the conversation, I think that's scary. And so I was thinking about this the other night and thinking, I'm okay with it because I'm scaring more people recently too. And it shouldn't be a fearful thing, but I think until people have more time past that conversation to spend with you, for them, it will always be a fearful thing because you've done nothing to purposefully intimidate. And I know this because I've been around you for 7 years. You've done nothing to purposefully intimidate anybody around us.
Right.
All we've done is good business, had hard conversations, said the things that nobody else wanted to say. And if that is the mythology around you, that more of that will come undone as we continue to get to know
I'm a
people.
passionate person, and if you step on my proverbial tail, you're going to get a reaction. And so if people come up, if their first interaction with me is me being in defense of any member of the team or our business or our practices, I mean, they're going to see the teeth. And it's not that it's one of those things where, like, even my kids, like, where people say stop yelling at me, but you're not yelling. I just have a sternness to my voice, or I have a affect that means I'm serious. And to where people, like, my kids will go, like, stop yelling. I go, I'm not yelling. Like,
Do you want to hear me yell?
Yeah, you want to hear?
I can show you yelling.
No, I can say this so openly, and I think people that have listened to our awkward conversations have heard this many a time, but I've had some really, like, very heated conversations, dialogues, discussions, and arguments with you over the years, and never once have I ever been afraid. Being afraid for me puts me in a position where I feel vulnerable, like physically or something. Well, and you've never made me feel that way. So I think afraid is a really, people get caught up in language and they get caught up in emotion. And I think when people are gossiping or telling stories, they tend to throw out words that are very more have an emotional charge to them. And I think that's where the word fear comes from. And I think it's the wrong word. I think intimidated might be more accurate.
Well, there's a lot of hyperbole too when people are gossiping or they're telling a story.
Yeah.
They make everything seem greater than it is.
Yeah.
For the benefit of the story.
Totally. Yeah. I have to say, after that conversation, I actually was kind of happy because we're doing something right.
Oh, I am happy too because I love talking about real stuff.
Real stuff, right? And I texted her after that, and I was like, "Thank you so much for that." As a 4 on the Enneagram, I love real talk. But let's get back to Jessica.
How's your 4-ness?
Oh, I'm such a 4.
How's your moment?
Oh my God, my moment. I'm at 91.
Wow.
91.
Yeah.
Good. Making progress.
I know. Yeah.
As long as you're
It's
always
like
moving
watching
forward.
your phone
Moving
battery
forward.
charge.
Slowly but surely.
Ask me anything.
Going back to Jessica, we had kind of ended with you joining Pickett Street.
Yeah.
And then we fast forward to you capping. There's like a whole bunch
There's a
of
whole
stuff.
bunch of
in
stuff
the
in
middle.
between.
Oh, I have a systems question for you.
Yes.
What's your favorite system out of everything that you've been introduced to, or process that made sense to you, has been helpful to you as an agent in our world?
Personally, I love the weekly cash talks. I love the checking
She
in.
does, of
Oh, she
course.
loves-
She
I
loves
do.
it. She
I'm
loves
telling you, through my
I do
interview
too.
process, you asked me how I like feedback, and I told you it's face to face, and that goes a long way with me, and it means a lot.
Yeah, your first 411 with me was 90 minutes long, which is fine.
It was amazing, and I've told 14 people about it. It's great.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
No, I'm laughing just because Jesse's patience is so small for, and he
Anything.
enjoys the 411s once you get started, but having something on his calendar,
Yeah.
Is hard, but he loves it and he's so good at it. That's why
Well, here's the thing.
it doesn't
doing
surprise
that,
me that it
it's
was your favorite thing.
I've been here just over 6 months, setting these realistic goals for me financially and personally.
Yeah.
Having these systems in place and having the follow-up and checking in on where I'm at with meeting those goals is awesome. This month, I'm paying off half my debt. That's
Yeah,
a
that's
huge
huge.
thing for me.
Yeah.
And that's because I've set those realistic goals, and we're following up, and Jesse asked me what I'm doing to meet
Accountability.
those. Yeah.
A lot of people don't want it, and it works so well. And especially if
Yeah.
you're someone who wants it.
Yep.
I ask my agents and I ask everybody what they're doing with their money.
Yeah.
Like if Jessica had a large check, I'd be like, great, how you spending that?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
And also, Jesse pushes me because he knows I'm not going to set aside money for myself to do something. So
That's
intentionally
funny.
making
I do
me-
the opposite thing. I set too much aside for myself.
Really?
Yeah,
I have a
it's
really
not
hard,
good.
I want to meet my goals so fast that it's hard for me to take a dollar amount and put that aside just for me.
Yeah.
Like that blows my mind because I feel like that can come someday, but it's important. Just like when I got my first large check with Pickett Street, like I should have done that because it's really defeating when you pay your bills and then there's
then
nothing
nothing to
left.
do.
Like,
You can't do anything different.
oh wait, like I should have rewarded myself in some way other than meeting those goals, you know?
Yeah.
So
Well,
learning.
I think people just don't think about it.
Yeah.
Or they just respond to the emotion of money.
Sure. Yeah.
Let me give an example. I analyze a portfolio for a client. And what that means for me is we have investor clients. We help them buy multifamily properties. And so one of them asked me to analyze his portfolio. So that means I have to evaluate all of his holdings, like figure out how much they're worth, which is a lot of work because I'm getting financial information, rents, expenses, all of that. And then I send them an analysis, and I say, you should liquidate this property because you have too much equity, you're under-leveraged, and if we transition you from this property to another property, you'll make an extra $800 a month. So before I got to that final step where I show them like a comparison of what they should liquidate into, I just sent them the valuation piece and then just one recommendation. I think you should liquidate the first property. And the client responded by saying, hey, I hear what you're saying. I get it. We'll probably wait a year because we've done a lot this year already. And my response in my head is, no. Because if you do this, and that's my fault for not sending the next piece, and that's what we're working on now, which is, no, let me show you how if you liquidate this property and buy another one, how you'll make $800 more a month.
Yeah.
Like if you want to make $800 more starting now or starting next year.
Yeah.
And so that's just how my brain works in most everything. And so I am more prone to use money in its most beneficial way.
Yeah.
No, I think I told you from the very beginning that I wanted to learn as much as I could from you about money, because for the whole time that I've been here, it's one of my challenges has been to change my money mindset and how I use my money, how I have it. What I have programmed in my head is what I learned from my parents growing up, not by any fault of theirs. It's just there. And you are much better, I think, at like planning further ahead in your mind about where money is going to go than I think. And I also, I don't know. And that's just one of the things. I actually organize my personal money the way that we organize our money for the business now because of that.
Yeah.
It's helpful. So like I have 4 savings accounts and 2 checking accounts, each one labeled for something different.
Yeah, and I think that's the way it should be. As a kid, you have a piggy bank, and then if you want to save for something else, you get a second piggy bank.
Yeah.
So, Well, you're swell, Jessica. We like having
She
you on
is.
the
She's a
team.
nugget. She's a gold nugget.
No, I will say this. What makes Jessica stand out as a hire is you're very ambitious. You're very driven. You have a great work ethic. You're conscientious with clients and what they are trying to accomplish. So you don't put yourself before your clients, which a lot of agents do.
Right.
And that could, usually it's on the lazy side. Like, I'll do that tomorrow. You're not like that. Yeah, I mean, but I think work ethic's probably the main thing. You know, finding someone with a good work ethic is challenging.
She also doesn't have a crazy ego.
Yeah, I mean, we're big believers in hiring new agents because they don't know what they don't know and they haven't learned bad habits. And I think you're a great example of that. Like, we got you in the first 6-7 months. So you hadn't learned bad habits, I don't think. And if you had, they weren't deep enough. They weren't
Right,
entrenched
right.
that they couldn't be undone. And then we just got really rigorous about teaching you good
Yeah.
habits.
I agree.
What do you think is something you've learned in real estate on the team that you hadn't learned before being on the team?
Oh man, I've
Like
learned a lot of things.
transaction-wise? Yeah.
I was just having this conversation with the new guys on our team, with Spencer specifically. I have learned so much more about how follow-up is key, consistency with clients, setting expectations, and also a big thing for me now at this point in my career is learning boundaries with client relationships and having healthy ones. Setting them up front, your expectations, following through, And sometimes learning to, nudge your clients in a positive way. I've learned that lesson in a hard way, but I'm there and I'm thankful for it. So I see that consistently with Jesse and the way he handles clients. He's really good at it. I've learned so much. I can't even put it into words. There's a lot, and I'm constantly learning. And I think I say this every day to everyone on our team, like, you learn something new every day in Pickett Street. There's so much to take in and absorb. So reaching my 1 year mark in real estate is awesome, but really I didn't learn a ton prior to coming here. Like, I learned some basics and what works for different agents, and that is all well and good for them. But for me personally, I didn't absorb a lot until I came here, and that's because of the structure that you have in place on this team. I don't think it's comparable to anyone else I've met. So
I do want to stress, like, the 411s and the cash talks, and having a mechanism to check in with your people and really hear from them and let them have a voice in their development, and then also really tapping into their goals and their mindset and kind of queuing things up is so important. And I think it's the one thing teams aren't good at. Most teams don't do. No. And so someone like Jessica is extremely goal-oriented and money-oriented.
Yes.
So if I didn't talk to you about your goals or talk to you about money,
I could have learned 100 different things that would have benefited me as an agent, but if we would not have had check-ins like we do weekly talking about my financial goals, this probably wouldn't have been the best fit for me, because I would go home and think about that, like, what am I doing? How am I reaching my goals? Does my team even understand what my personal goals are? Like, that's so important to me.
So it's a simple matter of retention, especially for your star producers, I believe. Mm-hmm. That doing that, spending the time. One of the lessons I learned from D.R. Whitson, who was a regional owner and a trainer for KWRI, Keller Williams, is that when you hire someone, like when I hire Margaret, she gives me 39 hours a week, often more than that, but 39 hours a week. And then that last hour, the 40th hour, I meet with her and I give that to her. So I give her an hour of my time. She gives me 39 of hers. And that's the trade-off. Yeah. And that ratio is pretty awesome for me, right?
Yeah.
But most agents don't do that.
No.
Most agents, it's like 500 to 1, right?
Well, yeah, and I think this is one of the biggest topics that I talk about in my class now, right at the beginning, is whether we like it or not, as a society or whatever we're changing towards in our culture, people want to work for leaders. And leadership means you actually have to care about people, and that people want accountability. So if you don't care about people, I think that's what the 411 does more than anything. It says, I see you, I see what you want, let me help you get there. And if you don't do that, people aren't going to stay because they know they can go somewhere else where they have that. So
can I say why I think people are afraid of me?
Sure.
I'm no bullshit.
Uh-huh.
And I don't put up with it. Mm-hmm. So if someone comes at me and they have a game or they have a persona or they're faking it till they make it, like, I'll see through that stuff, and I don't suffer it. So I think and I think you see a lot of that in real estate. You see a lot
of,
yeah.
You see a lot of posturing, a lot of posing, a lot of bluffing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you probably wear that outwardly with your body language, and so.
Well, and by my reputation, like, people know I'm not afraid to have a conversation with somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I also don't want to talk about the weather or their kids' vacation, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I cannot. My listeners need to understand. If you get me stuck in the hallway for like a 5-minute conversation, I'm antsy for 4 of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm making it painfully obvious that I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just as an aside, the assistant team leader was here as we were setting up the studio and came at me about one of our new agents going to Bolds. And I said, yep, in 6 months. And then she didn't accept that, and I didn't respond to her after that. I already gave her her answer. Anyway.
I know. When you couple that with your natural impatience, like impatience is part of your natural tendency.
My impatience is really off the charts.
I don't think I've ever met anybody more impatient.
It's a problem for me.
Yeah.
I'm fairly impatient as well.
Is there a pill for that?
I mean, sure there is, but
like
don't
Valium?
take it.
Valium?
Yeah, open your mouth. I'm going to toss one in.
I know. I mean, it's really hard. I have to slow myself down all the time. I'm getting better at it. especially with my kids. I'm getting better at it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that part I think you've worked on a lot.
I'm good at it with you, I think.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you're good at it with me. Like, you don't make me feel
Well, this
impatient.
goes back to what we're talking about. Like, you're aware of it. You're actively talking about it, working on it. As a team, it's not just our financial goals. It's all the personal growth, and that's one of them. For Jesse, for me, I relate to that with my kids as well, the impatience. So just putting that into words helps, makes you aware, makes you work
Yeah.
on it.
Is Jared impatient?
In some ways, yes. He's much more level-headed than I am. He keeps his cool a lot longer. He doesn't have to raise his voice. I tend to lose it. I go from 0 to 10
Okay,
real
so
fast.
let's talk about this because I'm willing to bet there's a commonality here.
With you and Jessica?
You growing up, were you in an environment much like the one that you present to your kids when you're frustrated and when you are impatient?
Actually, no. I was raised by a single dad, and my dad, with his military background, kept cool all the time, unless it was with my older brother, who he just lost his shit with all the time. And my brother can probably speak to that, brought that on himself. But with me, no.
You just think it's natural in you?
Yeah.
You didn't learn it?
I mean, to be frank with you, through my unhealthy marriage before, that was like a learned behavior, my go-to in reacting to situations. Not something I'm proud of, but that was my first go-to, is to lose it about anything. And it just became so normal. And it's something I'm actively trying to break the cycle with, because my kids are learning that behavior, and it frustrates me super fast. So
I don't think it makes a difference either way. I mean, like Gary John Bishop, we're reading his latest book, and chapter 6 talks about this. But essentially, like, it doesn't matter what happened to us. It doesn't matter how our parents raised us or what they did wrong, because we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Right. And so we can be the victim, or we can move forward. I just like trying to understand, why I am the way that I am. And I know that it's messy. Like, if you go back into my childhood, there's a lot of cyclones and storms that could have moved things around. And I in my first marriage, I was married to somebody who's calm and didn't raise her voice too much, and you know what I mean? Like, so, and then still, as when we had kids and they got to that over the age of 2, I saw that
when they start talking,
I saw the worst parts of myself amplified.
Yeah.
A little bit. And anyway, thankfully in 2011, I became aware. I read the book Fierce Conversations, and I've had to study myself and my behavior ever since.
What I think is interesting is the people that don't ever have that awareness. Like, we've talked about this before. How do you bring someone to awareness? You can't really. They have to like self-realize. So when you're in those moments, when you're feeling most angry and most impatient, if you can stop, I felt like I've done this, been able to do this myself, but not all the time. When I'm in that moment, if I can say, what am I like reacting to? You can recognize in your body where you feel that way. That's what's helped me slow down. And that's actually a method. I forget what it's called. There's a lady in the office that was talking to me about this.
By the way.
Oh, what is it?
It's cannabis.
Oh my gosh.
Right? If I'm highly impatient and anxious,
That'll
then
help you.
Cannabis to the rescue. Only after 8 p.m. and only after you're 23. All you
23.
After your prefrontal cortex is fully formed.
Oh, Lord.
Tip of the day.
Oh my gosh. Tip of the day from Jesse Moore. I have one final question for Jessica.
Hit me.
What do you want to do with the future of Pickett Street? Like, what would you love
when you grow up?
Yeah.
What's your 5-year plan?
Yes.
Oh my God. No, I don't need five-year plan, but yeah.
I believe, if I can quote myself right, through the interview process, I told you my goal in 5 years was to obtain my managing broker's license, just to have it. When I first got my license, I just thought, why not? Why not get everything you can? I have a lot of goals for getting different accreditations in the industry. I love that. Financially, I have big goals. In my first going into this next year, I would like to make $150,000, and I'm going to do that. Like, there's nothing in my mind that shows me that that isn't going to happen. And then to double that in 5 years' time, why not? Like, I want to do that, and to be debt-free, to be able to take my kids on vacations, to not have to overthink everything in life. Like, can we afford this? Should we afford this? I don't want to be at that spot anymore in life, and I want to work hard to get there. And I want to teach other people how setting goals and realistically working towards them and having that accountability with your team is so important to be able to get there. So I love teaching as well. I love working with new people. So it's super exciting to me to bring on other agents on our team and be in a position to do so, because like Spencer said to me today, oh my God, you've only been in real estate a year. I would have never known. Like, that's awesome. I love that. And I told him, I'm reaching my cap today. Like, and then it's just going up from here. So I told him my position is to make a lot of money so you can make a lot of money, and that's exciting. I love that. And yes, I'm very money driven for a reason. I grew up poor, essentially. We never had anything. Like, we never took vacations. I've never taken my kids like on a big vacation. We never had that. My dad worked his ass off, and I have a lot of respect for that. That's where my work ethic comes from. But to be financially secure and free is so important to me. I want to have investment properties. I want to buy my first house this year, different things, and all that's going to happen. So I have so many different things I see myself doing. So
how do you feel now about, you didn't have too much of a say in it. You had a little bit of a say. But how do you feel now that we've hired more people to support you, and we have a showing agent now that
how do
you're
I feel
starting
about
to
that?
train?
Truthfully,
Yeah.
Going through that process, it was a really hard thing for me to wrap my head around, and a team aspect to bring on another person. When I think numbers wise, like, I had to break that down, and it was a lot of days of really overthinking that and how that makes sense to me. But ultimately, I've realized now, getting busier and working towards that goal, it makes a lot of sense. And talking to people who've done it in the past and how they've reached their goals and surpassed them with that model in place, I'm excited. Like, it's just going to get better. So, and bringing on the right person in that role was key, and I feel like we found that. So,
and then one aspect that I think you and I have talked a lot about, and that's the family aspect, which is the balance. You have to balance your ambition, your workload against your family and their needs. So do you see how, like, leverage is a necessity?
Absolutely.
For family peace?
It was a commitment when I joined this team. It takes me an hour each way to get here. Every day in office, Monday through Friday, and then working on the weekends as well, and evenings. There's a lot of sacrifice with your family time. In my mind, being so financially focused, I let my family go by the wayside always, and that definitely takes a toll. So realizing the benefit in that leverage is so important, and I'm really thankful that we have brought that on. And going forward, I'm thankful that we have it, so that it allows me to have some time with my family, say no to something, and know that it's still getting taken care of, business-wise,
And this may be hard for our listeners to understand, but, like, Spencer lives about an hour and 15 minutes away from you, probably.
Yes.
And that's strategic because most of our business is most of our business is at least half an hour from you.
Yeah.
And some of it is an hour and a half from you.
Yeah.
And so I remember a time where we had a listing in Bothell, which is between my house and this office, right? It's close proximity for me. And we had a lead that wanted to look at it, and that meant you had to drop everything. It probably took you an hour and a half.
I was on the road back from Eastern Washington and got a message from you, and I said, yes, it's opportunity. And what does Margaret say? Never say no to opportunity. So I'm thinking, I'll show it. Of course, I'm on my way back. Get in the house, drop my stuff off, get in the car, drive an hour and 15 minutes to get there, show the house, get home, put my kids in bed. Really didn't have time with it. It's just...
So how much better does it feel knowing that you can call Spencer and Spencer can handle that
amazing
in the future?
Yes.
We just saved a marriage, Mark. A future marriage. We just saved a relationship.
No, but I think that's a really important lesson in leverage, because a lot of people, it's hard to see it when I think when you first coming into a team and to understand that because most agents would say, I'm not going to give that deal away. That's a percentage I don't want to pay to someone else. And so you have to really draw out those numbers and then understand that. I think you began to understand really quickly, though you're quick. Like the more hours you spent out of the office, the less you had to lead gen and fill your pipeline.
Yep.
And so when you have leverage like that and you can work out and see that you actually, the more people you bring on, the more money you make, it becomes clear. So, but I think that's, most people don't, at least from what you and I have seen, I feel like don't understand leverage.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And it's for that reason.
Even the ownership.
Listen, I get it. I've been through it. And what Jessica's recently been through
Yeah,
it.
you have, yeah.
And that is, I was just thinking about this. Like, we kill ourselves and we put a bunch of deals in escrow and they close. And we should have enough money to like throw it on a mattress and roll around in.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
Yeah.
Like in a hair's breadth, it's gone. Yeah. And I get it. Like, it's hard. You can't just bank on leverage because right now you need all the money that you make currently. Right. And so leverage is a little bit of a field of dreams statement where you have to trust in building something and then trusting that the business will show up.
Yeah.
Like, if you build it, they will come. And that's something I said in my class teaching about team building, is that it's a test of faith. In that you have to build it before the business is there. You have to start to put those pieces in place. Otherwise, it's too late. And then the client experience suffers. And then now you have less business than you had originally.
It's true.
So,
the thing I love most about the interview process with Pickett Street and any successful team who operates this way, you're so picky about who you're going to bring on to the team. And one thing you guys said in my first interview was, we're not just going to hire anybody. It has to be the right fit for us and for you. I thought, oh, I've never heard that before, and I love that. Because in real estate, I have experienced teams that just hire anyone because an agent's willing.
If you have a warm body and a driver's license, you're good to go.
Yep.
Yeah, I love telling people that in the first interview because then it helps them understand real quick the difference between us and someone else.
Well, I like it because it changes the tone of the experience. And we certainly say, hey, we take this seriously, not only for us, but for you. We're not going to waste your time.
Yeah.
And if you're taking it, like Jessica's a great example. You had a vocation and you had to save up money to make this jump. And I take that extremely seriously. And if we're not the right fit for you, we may have squandered that opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to squander anyone's opportunity. If you took mugshots of our team right now, you would never guess.
Oh my God.
You would never guess that we'd end up together.
Are
No
a
kidding.
motley crew, I would say.
I love it.
We're
Oh
rather
my gosh, I
handsome,
love
I
it.
think.
It's not that. It's just that it's not. It doesn't.
We're the most random.
No, I mean in real estate, like there are certain
Yes,
teams I can think of right off the top of my
Yes,
head
I agree.
that look like they just stepped out of like
HGTV
Elle
or
magazine.
something.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
like, and I saw the best thing. I wish I could post this. I was on the other side of a deal from this agent, and I always research the agent to kind of see how much business they do and how experienced they are. Her Facebook photo. She's a beautiful person, and she's svelte and she's in designer dress like black, and she's tall, spindly legs.
Yeah.
And she's holding two 50 cal rifles, one in each hand. And I'm like, what's your message here?
Yeah.
Like, I was so blown away by that. But I mean, so my
Facebook.
point is, and then you see teams where they've just got their hair blown out and they had their nails done.
Yeah.
And they're dressed to the nines.
Yeah.
And then you see the people that are like, they look like they just got off
Rolled
the farm,
out of bed,
right?
yeah.
And they just rolled out of bed. And then there's our team, which is a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
No, I think it shows in the people that we hire that we're very purposeful about who we hire. It's for a reason, for a role. It also fits the culture.
There's a commonality between all these people, and we all get along.
Yeah.
As Daniel, one of our new hires, said, he's becoming fond of all of us.
I know. I love that.
And he
Gosh,
said
I
that
love
in our
him.
second meeting, So
Yeah.
there is a weird intrinsic thing that ties us all together.
No, there's really good synergy, good energy right now.
I love that everyone on this team has a completely. I feel like I just interrupted this
That's
super
good.
awesome moment. Damn it.
No, you didn't.
Everyone on this team has such a completely different personal goal.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's insane. Totally.
I don't know. I just felt like saying that.
I think Margaret's through her moment. What do you think?
Yeah,
Oh my
100%.
100%.
Did you surpass it? Like 110?
I think we're good.
Oh,
Took
that's
about an
awesome.
hour.
Yeah, are you through the goal? Are you through the moment?
Through the goal. I'm through the moment. I feel better. I do.
You do?
I drank this whole thing of water, too.
Nah, that whiskey probably didn't hurt.
That whiskey was great. I'm going to finish it off here.
So let's wrap this up by saying a few things.
Yes, please.
Please send your whiskey to...
Yeah. 22614, Bothell Everett Highway, Bothell, Washington, 98021. I'm serious.
Right.
Care of Margaret
Care
Smith.
of Margaret Smith.
I think, Margaret, I think we need to change the title. I think the title on this should probably be like Easy Breezy Conversations.
Oh.
You know, like heartwarming conversations.
I like
And,
that.
Easy breezy.
Or 411 and
Well, you
easy.
know what I like about that is because Jessica looks like she could be on one of those hair commercials.
Oh,
your
Lord.
hair
Like
is
with the most
legit.
perfect hair.
Oh, Revlon.
You guys, I haven't washed my hair in 9 days. I'm not even shitting you.
There's no
I had to put it in a
way.
ponytail this morning because it's like stuck. It won't. Yeah.
Oh my god. Easy breezy conversations.
No, I'm just saying when we did
Hair
awkward
model.
conversations, people were afraid to
Oh, that's
listen
true.
to it.
Thank
This
you,
is
sweetie
not the
they,
same.
they
Jesus,
wouldn't
for dry
respond. They
I just
wouldn't
got another
give us
text
any
about the
feedback.
awkward one too.
Right, so no, we're gonna say like heartwarming conversations around a fire
Oh,
or
I like-
something.
Actually, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Or call it shit in a hole.
Shit in a hole. Wow. I feel lucky that that would be named on my
God.
episode.
Jessica. What's your middle name, Jessica?
Alicia.
Jessica Alicia. That's
With an
rather
A or
pretty.
A.
Jessica Alicia.
Yes.
So your initials when you get married will be Jaw.
Jaw, yeah.
Jaw.
Wolf. It's a
It's a
powerful
good thing
name.
we like this guy.
Yeah,
I know,
agree.
right?
However, yeah, Daniel's on me.
Daniel?
He told me today that he
Daniel
would
is?
offer to call Jared and talk to him as a dad, and I said that's okay.
Wow. He's been on the team.
That's
10
okay.
He's been on
You
team
can
10
back
days.
up.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Thank you.
That's
but no.
super cute.
Super cute. I appreciate it, but no.
Oh, I can't wait. Please make sure I'm there when they meet
Sorry,
each other.
Jared.
Really cute. He cares.
He cares, yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I am off to Prague
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh
and
my gosh.
then Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
So Margaret's going to be
Who knows what's gonna
doing
happen?
this on her own next week. Can't wait to hear it.
Can't wait to hear it. He says.
I did it by
Anxiously.
myself. So now
You
it's your
did.
turn.
Oh gosh. I'm
Good
excited.
luck.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
I hit it out of the park with Todd Dutzman.
You did.
You
I know. It's
did.
gonna be a
That
hard
was
act to
great.
follow, and I
Right.
don't know what I'm doing
Good
yet.
luck.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was so happy with myself. I was like, "Oh, Margaret, Margaret's gonna have a hard time beating this one."
Good luck with that.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Have a good day.
Send your
Thank you.
whiskey.